open session of council at 7:02 p.m. And of course, only those items that we went into closed session were the only items that we did discuss in closed session. Motion that's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion as presented? Opposed of any? That would carry. Okay. Next? No, we better do this first. We also have a motion moved by Bev Cutting, second by Don B. Marshall. Be it resolved that items A1 to C2 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted, and further that authorization be given for the action to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein. Any questions on that motion? All in favor? Consent agenda being passed. That would carry. Okay. All right. What do we have here now, Mark? What do we need to do here? Minutes. You want me to just assign these? Yes. All right, communications from council. Any member of council have some communications they would like to bring forward? Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you. I just want to bring to council's attention Bobby Sullivan, who I'm sure you all know, has won the Canadian Heavyweight Amateur Elite title in Langley, BC, in the East Meets West. It was East Meets West for the Canadian title. He flew to BC Friday. He flew to BC Thursday, I think, fought Friday, and he was back Saturday. And his next step, he has to make a decision, but his next step would be to go to Thailand to fight in the Worlds. Wow. So I would think perhaps a letter of congratulations might be in order from the council. That's quite an achievement.
I would think that recognizing the presentation that we have to do in a minute here regarding some Canadian championships, something like that would be warranted. And I'm sure if we could ever encourage Mr. Sullivan, who is a very, very good boxer, who could represent West Grey at a world championship. I don't know how many of those we've had in the past, but it would certainly be something to hang our laurels on. So, okay. Anything to add to that? Sorry, Councillor. 2-round knockout. That's what Mr. Sullivan had. Very good. I know that the press will follow up on that. Okay, any other communications? Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, this past Thursday night I went to Gemini in Newstead for their grand opening and their 50th anniversary celebrations, and a large turnout from the public, and excellent meal presented, and it's quite an operation they have there in Newstead, so they should be congratulated.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else for council? All right, delegations. We have none, but I think at this time, if we can, I think there's some company in the hall. Would our guests in the hall please come in?
They're talking.
At this time, we have a special presentation to make, and we just mentioned some sporting laurels that we have in West Grey. Recognizing tonight we have a young gentleman who participated in some softball championships, Mr. Alex Paler. Alex was a member of the Chepstow Lang Farm Pee Wee Boys fastball team that went on to win gold at the Eastern Canadian Softball Championships in Fredericton, New Brunswick. And Alex, of course, is a family comes from Durham, being raised on the east side of number 4 highway, and his mother and his father both proud Durhamites also. So Alex, anything you can tell us about the game? Who did you play and who did you beat in the final?
I have no idea.
Oh, you forget all that stuff.
Yeah, no we didn't.
Then you played Napanee, another Ontario team, in the semifinals, and then you ended up playing Nova Scotia again and beat them in the championship game. Wow. So he won every game.
On every game. Very good. What position do you play, sir?
Outfield.
Outfield, right on. Man after my own heart. Right on. Well, I think Carrie wants to, we have a certificate for you from West Grey. Carrie wants to take a little picture. How about we hold this up? But congratulations. Anything else you'd like to say? Mom and Dad were with you all the way?
Thank you.
In a few words. In a few words. He plays ball, he doesn't talk. Congratulations. Thanks, Alex. Is there at this time any business arising from the previous meeting? Seeing none, we'll move to staff reports. First, we have the Director of Finance, Carrie, and we have a lengthy bunch of stuff, lots of action going on in the summertime and bills to be paid. So with that, go ahead, please.
Is there any questions on the accounts at all?
The accounts, first of all, yes. Should do the accounts. Councillor Mollison, we'll take you first, please.
Okay, page 6.
Dave, I'll maybe get you to turn on your mic, please.
Been so long, I forgot what it's for. On page 6, the Department 3000, which is the canine services, listed here in the accounts is canine wages contract for $688.73. Underneath this canine control mileage for $443.36. You've got a total of $897.88, and it should be $1,132.09. You can tell I haven't got much to do at home.
I'll say. That's a good catch. Carrie's computer's not.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that is netting the HST off of there, I believe. But so what's going to be, so I'll double check on the system that the check gets issued for the correct amount, but I think what's showing there is net of our HST rebates on there. But we'll make sure that the amount paid is the full amount, though.
Okay, Carrie, you're going to check on that. Thank you. Does that satisfy that, Dave?
Oh, sorry, yes,
That's
fine. Yeah.
okay, good. Councillor Eccles, I saw you with your hand up.
Just to go on what Dave said, if you just scroll up a wee bit, there was some fines levied towards that, and I just wondered if they'd come off that total.
The fines,
There's a $150 fine and a $250 fine.
Durham Vet Clinic. Yeah, that would be on the vet clinic
Okay.
bill. Yeah.
Well, the real question I had to ask you was on page 3 anyways. This $435 to look after one stray cat. I know this isn't in anything to do with you as financial, but I think as a council we have to try and figure out some policies and procedures if we're going to be responsible for OSPCA. This is an outlandish amount of money to spend on one stray cat. We're going to have to put some controls in place, but the amount of stray cats we have out there, with canine control, at least we get some money coming back in. With cats, there's none, and this just seems like I understand the circumstances behind it, but it's to me an unreasonable amount of money to pay for a stray cat.
Mark, go ahead. You have an explanation for that?
And I may be incorrect, but I don't think that amount was charged to like SPC related item. The issue is that it was quarantined by the health unit for 10 days. So when you add up all those fees and charges, it adds up pretty quick. And that was the issue of being quarantined.
Does that help out with that a little bit? Or anything else to add to that? Go ahead.
I understand the quarantine part, but still, at least with canines, we get some revenue back out of dog tags and whatnot, but there's absolutely nothing coming for stray cats, and it just seems like an unreasonable amount of money for one cat.
Mark?
And I know we're struggling with this a bit with this new delegation of duties formerly dealt with by the SPCA. We've had some discussions with Chief of Police, and I've also been speaking to the veterinarian at one of the clinics, and they're trying to, we're trying to determine, okay, if a cat has got a broken leg, does that constitute abuse or neglect? Now does that get under SPCA? Because under the Act, feral cats do not fall under the Act, so there's not that responsibility, but there's that fine line, is there neglect or abuse? And that's what we're trying to navigate through with this new responsibility.
Okay, that answers that all the T's aren't crossed and the I's dotted just yet.
As long as we're still working towards a solution.
Very good, yep. No, I believe that also. Councillor Thompson was next, and then Councillor Marshall.
Yeah, on page 2, the West Grey Parade float, the assembly, $412. It was been my understanding that this gentleman met with the mayor and it was discussed with him, and I know Mayor Eccles did come to council and said he would bring it forward at committee of the whole, which wasn't done in regards to the float for the fall fair parade. But it's my understanding that this was to be volunteer hours, and I see where we have to pay. We're going to have to pay for some of the material. I also question the rental from Saugeen Sales and Rental, why we needed a generator for the parade float. I have no idea why that was done and who authorized that. So it's my opinion that this wasn't really authorized, this money, and I'm going to recommend that the $412 not be paid.
Okay. Councillor Marshall, you had your hand up. Is that regarding this item? Or not?
Last one.
Oh,
Stray cat.
okay. Can we come back to that in just a moment? Okay. We have another item on the table here right now that we should deal with. Councillor Thompson's recommending that we do not pay the $412 for 34 hours to complete the float. Any other opinions? Councillor Don.
I just wondered if we couldn't set this one aside until the next meeting, because if it's just hearsay now, if Kevin did discuss this with Brian that he was going to do this volunteer work and now he's paying, then maybe we should have Kevin here to tell us what he really did say.
Councillor Lawrence.
I would agree with that. I think it was Kevin and Steve that made the agreement, so I think that's a good point, Dawn.
Okay, so we'll set this item aside, and anything to do with the float then? Set it aside? Okay, till next meeting?
I think the charges for the float material are legitimate. I know the whole
Okay.
house was rebuilt and that sort of thing, and we've been built for it. I mean, the material was purchased.
Including the generator?
That's my
Oh, I
question.
don't know about the
Yeah,
generator.
I'd like
I
to
know
know.
nothing about that.
That also is a part of it too, that why we rented a generator. If they build it at the Public Works building and there's hydro there, why we need a generator for daytime?
Was it to run the lights on the house? Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably see that, but if it's daytime, I don't know what they needed lights on.
But the lights were around the house, and that's why.
Yeah.
Ken, can you add something to that?
Yeah, just in regards to the generator, I believe there was also music playing on the float along with the lights, so. And they needed a generator that's very quiet so they could hear the music. So that's why there's a cost for that.
Okay, $39.55. It is a bill from one of our local businesses. So set the, shall we say, the wages for Mr. Colby, set that aside for now, but is it councilor's wish that we should pay the bills as presented? Okay, for the items? Okay, I see everybody's head nodding on that. Okay, so when I read out the voucher list here for the amount, that amount will be deducted from this total that I give, okay? Okay, Mr. Clerk assures me we'll do that. All right. Don, you had another something from the last item, please.
Just what Mark said there about the health unit authorizing the stray cat to be put in quarantine for 10 days, and maybe they should get the bill. Just send it on to them and see what happens.
Councillor Bev Cutting.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, it's, why is West Gray paying? And was it a stray cat, or was it, like, why was it put in quarantine, and why is it a stray cat, or was it somebody's cat that they...
How do you know?
Well, why was it put in quarantine?
Go ahead, Mr. Turner.
I'm assuming, like the health unit has in the past requested for dogs, that if they feel it could be rabid, that they put it under quarantine for that amount of time to make sure it's not rabid.
But,
And then under the act, they can do that. They've cited the sections of the act because we've questioned that before in terms of the dogs.
right, and we have to pay for that? Because, oh, that's odd, because my dogs were in quarantine for 3 months one time, and...
If the owner was known, we could seek redress that way to get reimbursed, but we're not aware of the owner, I don't believe, in this case. That's the problem.
We should start maybe
So-
selling cat eggs.
Sorry. So
Go ahead.
was it, they wanted to keep the cat alive to see if it did have anything? Or could we have had the choice just to have put the cat down on day one? Sometimes they order it to see if there's a problem so that they know how to deal with the person if a person's been affected. But was that the case, or was it just put it in quarantine for 10 days? Yeah, you were struggling.
I think you're helping Mark out here. Carrie, go ahead, please.
The woman's daughter brought the cat home when she found injured, notes the location. The officer attended and spoke with the complainant. Mr. Parker indicated he would take the cat to the vet clinic. She advised that her daughter was scratched by the cat and would be attending the Durham Hospital to get her checked. Cat will be quarantined at the clinic.
Can I just add one?
Go ahead, Councillor
So
Thompson.
does this lady want this cat? Do you know?
It has been euthanized.
Okay, so at the time though, was there an idea that she may have wanted this animal?
I
don't
would
know.
think the daughter that brought it home thought that, but I
Yes.
don't believe the
Mother didn't want it. Okay. And that's probably another issue why Mr. Parker, the canine officer, involved in cats, and that's something that should be looked at too, so there's job description.
Knowing that it scratched an individual and there might be a rabies situation, and he probably acted on that issue. He's aware of that council's direction that they don't look after cats typically, but there's always those kinds of extenuating circumstances where, because of potential health issues, that it has to be, I guess, some different processes involved.
It could be along that line we were just talking about, some more Ts that maybe have to be crossed and some Is that need to be dotted to kind of firm up our policy regarding our dog, canine and feline friends. Yes, I agree. We should maybe have a little discussion about that someday, and I'm going to suggest a committee of the whole, and one other item I would like to put on there is, I guess, shall we say, repeat offenders that our canine officer comes out to look after regarding, yes, you know, I'd always like to see somebody get a fair shake the first time, but if he has to go there 2 and 3 times about the same issue, I'm wondering if there needs to be an adjustment in our fees, but we'll discuss that another day. Everybody can bring their ideas forward at that time. Okay? Any other discussion about any other items in the vouchers? Seeing none? Yes, mileage, I did get an explanation. There was 2 trips made, Councillor Thompson. So, yeah, that wasn't just identified correctly in the vouchers. There was in fact 2 trips made. Councillor Eccles.
There's an item on here for the retro reflectometer. I thought we were purchasing our own, or was I mistaken?
Yes, how many partners do we have in that? Ken, yes, go ahead, Ken.
Yes, we have Grey Highlands, Southgate, and West Grey, and Chatsworth. Yeah. So I believe there was a bylaw went through councils.
Yeah, I'm
Couple
pretty sure
meetings
we
ago.
saw that. Okay. All right, if there's no more questions, it has been moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by John Eccles. Be it resolved, the Director of Finance Treasury be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 17, 2013 of the Municipality of West Grey in the amount of $1,099,028.88. And that's less that 412. Okay, Mark will do, it'll be end up a little bit, 1,098,900 and something, okay? 616. Thank you. Okay, we'll trust that our finance director and clerk look after that for us. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the vouchers being paid? Opposed of any? That would carry. Okay. Please, next item of business, please, Carrie.
So a request has been received from the Elmwood Homecoming Committee to sell Bentic history books during their event, and wondering if we would share in the profits from those. We did do a similar arrangement with the Durham Homecoming Committee, and we 50-50 on the share there. So that's for your consideration.
All right, thoughts and ideas about that? Councillor Lawrence.
I know they're just asking for Bentic, but actually Durham, they had Bentic, Normanby, and Durham. And I wonder if they, there might be somebody that's interested in some of those other books. I wonder if they'd...
They had only mentioned Bentic.
Yeah.
We don't have any Durham left, do we? Oh, boxes.
Glen Elk.
Glen Elk, right.
Elk.
Yeah, we didn't have one.
Okay. Don't know if they want any Durham ones, but I guess
Well, if a few went over,
there's nothing wrong with a few going over. Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
I can take it back to them at our next meeting, which is coming up, and ask them if they wanted. I know when it was discussed at the meeting, they stuck with Benny because that's the area that they're in. So, but I can ask them.
Sorry, Councillor Cutting.
I would certainly move that there's a cost sharing in this because they're going to display them, and the only place we really display them here now is the library and the municipal office. So I think it's a great, and that's the kind of people that do like to buy things like that as a gift or a souvenir. So I would say yes, we should, whether they want all of the municipality's books or whether they just want the Bentic, but I would certainly support it.
Well, I do have a motion here moved by David Mollison, seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby supports the request from the Elmwood Homecoming Committee 2014 to sell Benting history books during the Elmwood Homecoming weekend, and further that the Elmwood Homecoming Committee will share in the proceeds from the history book sales at the rate of 50%. And it did show in your information as to how that breakdown worked. So it has been moved and seconded. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of that motion? Opposed of any? That would carry. All right, and further down, Carrie, I see we have under information and council remuneration, that page is in there for information purposes. Anything to add to that?
Just if there's any questions on the Elmwood Homecoming bylaw, previously council had indicated they would provide a loan to the Elmwood Homecoming Committee. There were some questions, I think, at the last meeting.
Yes, there was some questions about that. So, what are
Would
you?
you like, it, I hadn't approached them yet.
Speak
I
now
figured
for
it's
the
your
vote,
money. Do you want it to be in accounts receivable, or do you want to give them the money and have them be the custodian of it? Or do you want them to treat it as accounts receivable like we did with Durham, and we pay the invoices and tally it up and as an account receivable until they reach that limit?
Councillor Rapke.
I think when we discussed it, they got a tax benefit by putting everything through here, and I think it's better, and it's consistent if that's what we did with Durham, so I think we should do it that way. That's my
I
recommendation.
see other heads nodding, but Councillor Thompson, go ahead.
No, I was just kind of contemplating the whole thing. If, yeah, they get partial of the HST back, but how much involvement does West Grey want in this, as far as your aspect in regards to this 10,000? Or should it, the other aspect was, should we ship it over to Brockton and let them handle all the finances? I think at the beginning it was kind of, we can leave it over there at Brockton's side, but I don't know. What
I believe Brockton has also agreed to give them 10,000, but I think theirs, when I read their minutes, as an accounts receivable.
Okay, because at the last meeting, they indicated to the committee that they were going to receive the 10,000 from Brockton, but if it's staying there too, I don't know, maybe either one way, we either maintain it or we send that to Brockton and let them maintain it, but either way, it's got to be paid back, and they're quite aware of that, but it might be the better way of us handling it.
So, we're receiving mixed messages here a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't, either way, we processed the invoices for the Durham homecoming. Bit of extra work, but we did it. It doesn't matter either way. In order, they won't get our HST rebate if they don't channel it through us. I don't know if they're going to channel it through Brockton. They'd have to in order to get the rebate, otherwise I don't think they'll qualify for the rebate. So Brockton would have to pay, you know, you pay this deposit, we'll pay that one. But it's, you know, we did it for the Durham one. They had a very, you know, agreeable with the accounting that we did. But it's up to yourselves where you want to hold your money or transfer it.
Go ahead, Councillor Eccles.
What kind of a HST rebate are we talking on $10,000?
Depends how many invoices have HST. We get 86.461% of the HST back. I think when the Durham homecoming, it was, what was it, 20 that we loaned them? Was it 20,000 we loaned them? So we had 20,000 with all the different invoices that we channeled through here. We had about $7,000. It meant that they didn't have to spend because we got the rebate.
So we could be looking at $300 or $400 worth of, that's a sizable amount of money. Yeah.
1,000, 3,000 or 4,000.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's a sizable amount of money that we might as well be capturing. As they can't collect it, we might as well.
Councillor Thompson, you would like to give it, go ahead?
No, I'm just saying we either make a decision of either, and I do believe we either hang on to that and they submit the bills, or we send the 10,000 to Brockton and let them handle all the invoices, and they're aware of the 10,000. That way they're not getting confused. They can send everything. And that's what I told them at the meeting. You work it through Brockton, send all your invoices. The HST rebates are there, you know. And I think their biggest issue is these tents they're trying to rent and the expense to that for these large tents. Well, if they talk to Brockton, unfortunately the Brockton council rep has never been to a meeting, has canceled 3 or 4 times and never been to a meeting. Been hoping she'll show up, but and nothing at this point.
Clerk Turner has made the suggestion, maybe what about deferring this until find out whether Brockton wants to participate in this?
That'd be my suggestion.
If there's no representation from Brockton on the committee as of right now, we can't very well shove it their way, I don't think, without asking them first. Okay?
I can say though, they were planning to go to Brockton, the 3 co-chairs from the committee to talk to Brockton, and I don't know if they've done that yet. Our meeting's not till the 25th, so I'll find out more then, but they were going to approach Brockton in regards to all this.
Okay. Would the, want to table this for now?
It's already tabled, it hasn't been lifted.
Okay. Councilor Lawrence moves that we table. Okay. We need a seconder for that?
It hasn't actually been lifted from the table.
Okay. Hasn't been lifted from the table. All right, Mark. Okay. So we'll note it. All right. We can hang on to that then. Anything else for us, Carrie?
That's everything I have.
Okay. Any questions of anybody to Carrie? Very good. Well, thank you very much, Carrie, for coming in this evening. I'm sorry,
I just
Councillor
have
Cuddy.
one before she leaves. Should I leave my computer with you?
Yeah, if you want to.
Just put it in your, on your, okay. Yes, thank you. That's why it's not working.
Okay. Next, we have the Director of Infrastructure and Public Works. Mr. Gould is here with us this evening. Ken, good evening, and go ahead, please, with your report.
Okay, the first item is the drinking water inspection reports. This summer, the Ministry of Environment completed the drinking water inspections of both the 2 systems, Newstead and Durham, and they provided West Grey with written inspection reports, and they're both come out actually very good. There was 2 minor things they brought up in Durham where we had have my name on the contact, and the former CAO was on there, but they notified that she was no longer here, so we switched it to Mark. And then there was a little bit of deterioration around the one well where we just had to put a little bit of fill in, but other than that, they both scored 100% on their on the scoring. So that's once you get to 100, you can't. It's they're both excellent reports, so we're certainly happy in that regard.
Very good. Any questions for Ken on that item of business? Seeing none, you've had that in your package if you need to review it at some other date, but for now, I see none. Go ahead, Ken.
Street where it meets up with Edmund, which comes off of Grade Road 3 and Grade Road 9 and runs westward to the pond and also into Fisher Crescent. The stop sign was on the eastbound of Edmund Street, so there was, we had Augusta Street, you didn't have to stop, and westbound on Edmund, we didn't have to stop, so it could have been a problem there. We cleared that up in 2 other areas of former Normandy at 16th and 14th, where it meets the base line. It comes to a T also. We changed the stop sign where it went on the one part of the T where it let the other through traffic go through. So we're recommending this the same here. We move the stop sign to Augusta Street on southbound and let the traffic flow through on Edmonton. It won't be a hazard there. So. And Mark has prepared a bylaw for moving this forward. So.
Bylaw has been prepared. Is there any questions, Ken, on this order of business? Okay, seeing none, Ken, your next item about William Street in Newstead.
Yes, in the 2013 capital budget, we had money in there for engineering, for design, and for the storm sewer on William Street, and also the reconstruction and design for the actual street itself, once the storm sewer's been installed. We've had 4 quotes come in, and the lowest is from the new firm GSS at $33,625. Some of their staff were involved with the stormwater study we done down there last year, and they're certainly very well aware of some of the issues that we do have at the majority of that $33,000 wouldn't be paid this year, because a lot of it is as part of the actual construction. If we do approve the construction in 2014, there would be inspection and that type of thing on the construction, where that wouldn't be paid until it actually took place. So there's probably around $10,000, I would think, for 2013, and the rest would be paid whenever the construction project takes place. So.
Okay, that's the explanation on that. Any questions on that? GSS, you had a couple of other quotes, and I see the local guys are, the new company's keen and eager for business. Very good. I do have a resolution here on this order of business, moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by John Eccles. Be it resolved that the Council of Municipality of West Cray hereby accepts the engineering services proposal from GSS Engineering for the storm sewer replacement and street reconstruction for William Street in Newstead, as per terms in the proposal, at a cost of $33,625 plus applicable taxes. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion? Opposed of any? That would carry. Anything else for us, Ken? Okay, any questions of anybody to Ken regarding anything that's going on? I'll let Councillor Thompson and Ken, between them, go ahead on that one. Ken, if you would.
Yes, we've had some vandalism at the washroom facilities in both actually Newstead and at the Middle Dam, where we have control of the washrooms there during the summer months through the Saugeen Conservation Agreement. We have closed the ones at the Middle Dam, as there was a fire in the ladies' washroom over the weekend sometime. Didn't do any damage, but it certainly could have. So I believe the Newstead Recreation Department is looking into some sort of a lock that can be closed in the evening hours and opened. I guess it's time controlled. There's a lock on the door, so we'll maybe wait for what they find out about that, and maybe we can get them installed in both areas. So.
Okay, very good. Any questions on that? Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, apparently the fire was set probably, well, I know some people used it yesterday at the Terry Fox run in Durham, and then the fire was set. There's some lumber and small sticks set afire in there, so through Ken's direction, the building was locked down, and it remains locked. And it's just because council, when I asked at one of our last meetings, was to hope to keep it open till the end of September, but with the vandalism going on there and now, and the Terry Fox run being over, it's not being used, and actually Saugeen Valley, through their park superintendent, wanted it closed down today, so that's what's occurred, just so everyone's aware of it. Because of the damage, it's now closed.
Okay, we have one little wee bit of frost, and now everybody wants to light a fire. Okay. All right, well, I think that's everybody understands that, and that was probably the right thing to do. So good. Anything else, Ken?
That's all I have at this time.
If I could ask one question from the chair, the well, I haven't been around on George Street lately. Is there anything happening there yet with the well?
My understanding is they're supposed to start drilling the well on Wednesday of this week, so it's moving right along.
Okay, very good, and that'll take a couple days, probably?
Yes, I expect so, yes.
Okay, look forward for good things coming from that. Okay, nothing else for Ken? Very good, well, thanks very much on that, Ken. And do your report now. Okay. It's, okay, very good. All right, and Mark, he just has a couple of items on there that, it's a consent, yes, and it's not, you can ask Mark about that if you need be, but it's pretty straightforward. We are down to bylaws. 72, where's 72?
That was deferred.
Oh, okay, yes. I'm sorry, 72 was deferred. Okay, regarding the Elmwood Homecoming. Bylaw 73 has been moved by Bev Cutting, seconded by Mark Rapke. Be it resolved that bylaw number 73, 2013, being a bylaw to provide for the erection of stop signs at intersections, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and CAO, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Okay. Any questions on that bylaw? Councillor Eccles.
We're doing this whole bylaw just for the one, basically changing the one inning, right? Another change.
It is, but there were 2 earlier amendments, so instead of having 4 bylaws to refer to, I'd like to consolidate into one.
Little housekeeping and efficiency model taking place in West Grey. Okay, Councillor Bev, sorry, do you have a question? Okay. All right. Been moved and seconded. All in favor of the bylaw? Opposed of any? Seeing none, that is declared carried. All right, we have one more bylaw, bylaw 74. Thanks very much, Ken. Bylaw 74, be it resolved that bylaw number 74, 2013, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 72, 2007, being a bylaw appointing Local Authority Services Limited, LAS, as the closed meeting investigator for the Municipality of West Grey, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CAO, sealed with the seal of the corporation, be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any question on that bylaw? The LAS is the watchdog for our closed session meetings. If we should ever happen to run into a problem. The one thing I noticed was that their fees have gone up 50% in 5 years, but not sure what we can do about it, because this is law, as I understand it, is legislation that we have to have somebody appointed to that, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we do have to have somebody appointed to that duty. Okay?
We haven't had to use their, they've never had to investigate in closed session yet.
Clerk Turner advises me that they have never had to been called into West Grey because obviously administration is so good.
I didn't think that.
Okay? With that, it has been moved and seconded. If there's no other discussion, all in favor of LAS doing this for West Grey? Opposed of any? That would carry. All right, just 1 second until I get back on track here. Where are we here? We're down to new business, they tell me. Yes, new business. They do business this evening. For any of the members present? Mark has one. Thank you. Go ahead.
Council did ask a meeting or two ago about contacting some solar energy firms about potentially using some West Grey lands or buildings for solar energy for the FIT program. There are a number of solar companies we've dealt with in the past for other projects they wanted approved or considered by council, including Certified Solar, Bonfield NCC Solar, Sol Power, and Solarize Energy LP. I did speak to an individual from Solarize Energy LP that had come to council back in November 2012 about some projects around the municipality, I think mostly in Normanby at the time. The next FIT program is round 3, and it opens the first week of November, probably open for a month. So I did speak to the individual, and Solarize, the projects that they had approved by council were dealing with New Life Mills, and so they are working in this area on those projects in the coming future. So they said this type of project would work well with municipalities. However, the time constraints are pretty tight, given it opens the first week of November. And he did indicate if, typically municipality would request, go out for RFPs to firms, and then obviously choose one, and then a plan would be eventually made and presented to council as to what options there'd be. So this individual said there really wouldn't be time for that for this round, so they'd basically have to have a carte blanche to proceed with some potential projects that they would want, that the municipality would want to proceed with. Now I know West Grey itself doesn't have a lot of lands now that are available for this type of project. We do have obviously some facilities, notably recreation facilities that for rooftop mounted solar projects. I know in the past when this was discussed, there are some issues, or were some concerns cited about the newer roofs that have been put on and the potential for warranties being voided. So I guess I leave this for discussion. I know obviously when we spoke, I think at the last council meeting, about engineering services and about the issues with sole sourcing and possible conflict with the purchasing bylaw, this might be the same kind of situation we get into if we just deal with one solar company itself instead of going out to an RFP.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Thoughts, Councillor Eccles?
So number 3 is coming up right now, so if we want to get involved, we have to start the RFP program, so we might get involved in number 4 coming down the road, because we've already lost our opportunity for number 3. So if we're planning on going ahead with this, we better get planning so we don't miss the next one as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
When I spoke to this individual, he's not sure if there's going to be another round. He thought it could be the last round. I don't know if you've heard it, and I heard last week in the radio that they're actually paying energy producers not to produce energy because there's a glut or a surplus. I haven't seen that this will be the last round. When I looked up the Ontario Power Authority website that deals with FIT programs, I haven't seen that noted, but there is maybe a concern that might be the end of the rainbow, so to speak, because of the glut in production.
That was noted at the wind turbine meeting the other night in Chesley also. Whether that sends a message to our counterparts at the provincial level or not, we're not sure about that yet. Go ahead, Councillor Marshall.
So if we were just to apply for a microfit, like say one of them solar panel, tracking solar panels, and just to pick a spot over the sewage plant. If we were to apply, we wouldn't have to have a person that would build that for us. We'd just put in the application and go for the contractor after the fact, could we not?
I do not know all the inner workings of that, Councillor Marshall. I think you are right. I can't guarantee you're right.
Would somebody like Fritz, or who built the one out of Aberdeen? Fritz Electric. They seem to do a pile of, yeah. What's,
Fritz Concrete at the chip store, Walkerton. I forget their address. They're over there, either one or the other. Well, it certainly would be worth a phone call to find that out. Mark,
I'm not sure how much of a form there is to fill out for an application for the microfit ones, but
So you're speaking like the Durham sewage treatment plant, because I know, or I believe that there's always the talk about perhaps expanding that facility, so, or am I correct in that? Maybe I'm not correct, but you just wouldn't want to place solar panels on property that there might be need for it. So if there's no need for future expansion down the road, perhaps that might work. I'm not sure of the acreage of that property, but
If I might, I thought we were talking about rooftops, like Rona and some of our works buildings. We can't go to the, I mean, we paid $165,000 for those roofs, so, and we've been told that would damage them, so we can't go to the arena roofs, but we do have a lot of other buildings. And at one of the seminars, they were showing at AMO, like much smaller buildings. I think it was it Kingston, Don, or I believe? Went on a lot of their smaller buildings. They had to the microfit, and we have a number of buildings in municipally owned in this, you know, besides our arenas that could be suitable.
Well, yep, and certainly warrant a discussion. There's no doubt about that. As long as there's a building, they have an engineered truss is the first point of order. I know that. But yeah, you'd need a structural engineer to come in and assess any of those buildings to see if you could do that. Go ahead, Don.
maybe we could discuss this more at the committee of the whole next, at the end of the month, but there's a lot of different applications. I've had people tell me that the tracking ones are probably the best for following the sun, but the money you put into a tracker, the ground mounts fixed ones might not be as good but the money you save not putting the tracker in, you sort of make up for if you get them pointed in the optimum direction. So there's the south of the sewage plant, just before it drops off the hill, is potentially an area there that you could put the ground mount fixed ones in, or some roof somewhere. We don't have to go crazy on them. We just get our feet wet.
Okay, Councilor Lawrence.
Well, we also have some land in Newstead, do we not? We still have that pie, or did that go, the pie of land in the industrial park?
Go ahead, John. Oh, I'm sorry. Mark, got something to add to that?
yeah, we do have some industrial land still that we own in Newstead. Again, given the timeframes for the next fit round number 3, we can certainly meet committee of the whole, discuss it, identify some certain properties. I can maybe even have some solar companies come, and there can be questions posed, whether I can get one maybe even before then to come and take a look at some of the facilities, see what might be possible, so that can be presented at the committee of the whole. I can try to do that. It would be a tight time frame though to get, because it opens basically that first week. So, but if you want to go that direction, whether we're good for round 3 or maybe if there's a round 4 that we'd be prepared for at that time if it comes, I'm certainly willing to do that for council.
Okay, Mark, if you can maybe identify 2 or 3 places. I do know, and I'm sure everybody that was here when Councillor Plume was here, I do know him being adamantly against putting them on any of our arenas and new structures with the new roofs. I do know that. So him being a building expertise, I think that's probably one thing we maybe should stay away from. But we do have other places that could handle that. And yes, they the area in Newstead, we maybe need to get out that map again just to see what is there. I just can't remember the exact shape of the land in there.
Quite irregular.
I knew that, yeah. Very good.
I'll talk to them.
Okay. Any other new business? Addendums? I don't know of any. Notice of motion or direct motions? I don't know of any of those. None of those. Closed session items? I do believe that we completed our closed session items as prescribed. I don't think there's any matters arising from closed session. Question period. This, of course, is where any member of the audience can pose a question to West Grey Council.
Raise your hand, please, so you know I'll speak at once.
We certainly wouldn't want to have a bidding war. If we were having a sale, we'd want more people at the sale than what we have in our audience tonight. No questions? Okay, very good, thank you. Municipal Act notices? Seeing that we have none. And now, the all-important paper arises, number 20. Councillor Mollison moves that we adjourn. I'll accept that motion and we stand adjourned. Thank you, Council.